So there have been a lot of discussions about the gacha system of Arknights Endfield, and there have been a lot of differing opinions around it. Some people claim it's really good, some people claim it's worse than Hoyoverse. As for me, well, I think it's somewhere in the middle. It has the potential to be probably the best gacha system we've had in a while, if not for a few fatal flaws. Being able to guarantee a banner character at 120 pulls is good. It's about 60 less than Hoyoverse and even 40 less than Woowa. You're able to get weapon currency when you pull for characters. Worst case scenario, after like, I don't know, 240 character summons total, you'll have enough currency to guarantee the banner character. Hit pity a second time, potentially winning yourself a dupe, and you've accumulated enough weapon currency to get the limited rate-up weapon, so long as there's only one of them on the weapon banner, of course. Don't quote me on the math, I'm just assuming worst case scenarios, I'm just kind of rough estimating here, so you could end up with even more dupes and have to pull way less, and still guarantee your weapon banners. The fact that you only have to pull on the character banner to get the weapon currency makes it better than even Woowa system, where you have to spend your asteroids on an entirely separate currency for weapon pulls. At least in Arknights, you're likely to pull for character dupes while you also farm the weapon currency itself. For me, these are the reasons why I like the system, but it's not without its fatal flaws. No pity carryover after 80 summons, for example.
This guy stinks!
And after you hit your 120 guarantee, that's it. You will only be guaranteed one character per banner. For dupes, you'll have to win your 50/50s every single time. This makes it a bad system for whales, and whales are important to the life cycle of a gacha game. For me, Arknights Endfield has the potential to be the most free-to-play and low-spender friendly. On stream, I reacted to St. Tones' video, where he was claiming that the system was arguably worse than even Hoyoverse's, which I kind of disagreed with, so we ended up having a chat to discuss his thoughts and feelings on it. I'm calling you, you fuckhead. Hi, how are you, St. Tones?
I'm good.
Hi. So, you really don't like this gacha system, huh? You think it's worse than Hoyo?
I think the main problem with the banner that I think affects every single player is the pity carryover. Because there are going to be basically one of the big wins of even like the Hoyo games is the fact that you can just like kind of randomly throw pulls at a banner. You can kind of just like throw pulls at a banner, know that you're building up to something, and it's not like a huge concern, right? To like have to like necessarily save up a bunch for a specific like, you know, type of weapon or a type of character. And this system really makes it apparent that like you need to save an allotted amount to actually pull on anything or guarantee something in the first place. And the fact that this, I think the big thing about this system is the fact that you're able to get actually nothing if you don't plan correctly. That's what makes it player unfriendly. So that to me is like kind of one of the most like damning parts about this system. If there was just a pity carryover for everything, like half of it is fixed. But the lack of pity carryover is pretty much like the biggest problem here. Nothing necessarily like with the rates. 120 is arguably like better, right, than a lot of other games. But the fact that you can go up to 80, and then because you don't have like the rest to go all the way, then that 80 is wasted. It's completely wasted. Right? You can literally just lose 80 pulls technically, and having a trap like that for a player is stupid. So it kind of sucks for free to play because it doesn't carry over. And it sucks for whales because obviously you'll have the, you know, let's just say 25% if there's one weapon on the banner. 25% still sucks balls if you're trying to get multiple copies. And it could even be a situation where you want multiple copies because like maybe that 6-star weapon is like a really good general use weapon, and so you want it on 2 characters on your team at once. It's not even like a free to play thing at that point. You literally have like there are like some weapons in Genshin, for example, right, or Star Rail, where they're so good you actually have a reason to get 2 copies of it because they're so useful overall. And in that situation, right, go fuck yourself with this banner, right? It's genuine, like, go fuck yourself with this banner. If you want 2 copies of the weapon to use across your team, and that's just awful. And so lack of carryover, it fucks over whales or the highest spenders, is a combination of like a lot of things where it takes like kind of like some of the worst elements. Sure, it has like a lower pity on some things, but it kind of has a combination of some of like the worst elements that there are in a game.
No, for sure. I don't disagree. I feel like the lack of a carryover is its main weakness. And it's a really big fucking weakness. Like, I'm fully in agreement with you on that one. And that's really what's holding it back from being probably, if that was the case, I would even argue it would be one of the better gacha systems that we have, to be totally honest.
And that's the
Like,
thing. That's why I only have 3 suggestions for it. Have a carryover. Have a carryover for it. Have the guarantees multiple times per banner. And the system is pretty much fine at that point. But the fact that those basic things aren't there, that's causing a huge issue.
Yeah, so really, I came from this with the direction that the initial system is very, it seems like at least more free-to-play friendly or dolphin friendly to me, right? Just being able to guarantee. And the fact that it's kind of known in the OG Arknights that dupes aren't as important in this game, right? Dupes aren't as important. They're not gonna significantly change your kits that much. That really having the banners work the way they do, and you're not incentivized to, you know, get these dupes in the first place is a good thing. So I think that's also runs, you know, a positive for the actual game itself.
I would argue that actually makes it worse for like the company monetarily. This is the thing. This is my viewpoint on Wales. It's a single player game. It's not like you're directly competing. It's not like somebody's impeding your progress by spending more and getting better upgrades and making their characters broken or overpowered. And the only thing that they're essentially doing by whaling or spending is guaranteeing that the game can run for longer. And in my opinion, if you like a game and you want to keep playing it, then all having good monetary or like reasons for whales to spend and like incentives for whales to spend, all that does is ensure that the game gets game is played for longer, right? And no, obviously there are ways to do that without fucking over free to plays. And there are ways to do that while still making sure that they're getting rewards. And this system seems to just not like, because the way that you described it, right?
Would you not agree that like right now the initial system is not free to play or low spender friendly?
I would say that if you plan accordingly, it could be. I think there's also the fact that you can get repeatedly fucked over, and you have like you don't have like the same
that's only if someone's ever looking to pull for dupes. And at that point, are they even a traditional free to play or low spender?
Not really, right? But imagine a situation in Hoyo or Wuthering Waves where you win a 50-50. You win a 50-50 early, and you win it at like 20 pulls.
Okay.
What does that mean? You can now guarantee the character in the next 100 pulls. Right? That happens. That happens occasionally. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens often enough to be noteworthy. Where you win the 50-50 early, you're at like 0 pity on the banner, and you get it, and you lose a 50-50 at like 20 pulls. And then you proceed, you know that you actually only have 80 pulls left at maximum to guarantee the character. In this system, you actually don't have that. There's no actual guarantee that you're ever going to spend less or have like a guarantee to spend less, and you can't save guarantees either, right? Because oftentimes people will hold on to a guarantee going from banner to banner, and they'll know that they actually only have to spend 30 pull. Like, let's just say you're like, there's a lot of people, right, that are always like, oh, I'm looking forward to this character. I'm on 65 pity with a guarantee. And they know they only have to spend like 10, 15 more, and they'll have the character. In this system, you always have to spend 120.
But surely that
always to guarantee it.
The effectiveness of how good this 120 pulls is, right, is highly dependent, or really only dependent, on the amount of currency that you get given playing the game. Would you agree?
No, it's not. No, it's not, because of the situation I just described, where the new banner comes up and you only have to spend 10 to 15 pulls and you can guarantee the new character.
Okay.
Right? You can do that in Hoyo games. You can do that in Wuthering Waves. You can do that in Honkai Star Rail, ZZZ, those games.
Okay.
And that's the thing. For the character banner, because of how your guarantees and your current pity have lined up, you can quite literally, again, like, get into a new banner, a new character release, and you only have to spend 10 pulls. Because you've kind of been, like, saving it up. In this game, you can't do that.
So we're talking about best case scenario, right? With the other games, like the best case scenario.
I wouldn't even say that's the best case scenario, because that would imply that you lost a 50-50.
A lucky scenario. What a lucky scenario. You lose to 50-50 early, therefore you know, oh, I only have to go maximum like 80 whatever to get the next character.
That's the thing. You could lose a 50-50 at 70 pulls, sucks balls, right? Lose a 50-50 at 70 pulls, and then go up to 65 pity on your guarantee. And then when the next character banner rolls around, you know you only have like 15 pulls max to pull the character when that new banner comes around.
So
And let's say it's this. It's a banner where all the 4 stars or the 4 or 5 stars suck balls. They're not good. They're fucking awful, right?
Sure.
And that means that you could have, let's just say, actually have built pity on a prior banner.
Best worst case scenario.
The best worst case scenario.
Because the worst case scenario in Enfield is 120 pulls.
Yes, the worst case scenario on a fresh banner is 120 pulls.
Okay. Sure, we could say that for like, okay, so that's good. We could say that for like any of the games though, right? We could say that for any games, like, oh, I'll just save all my, however, 160 fucking pulls for any of the banners. Sure. Sure. So I think just purely this having the better worst case scenario is a point for it. Again, I agree with you that the lack of pity, the lack of carryover is overall a bad thing. I don't disagree. You win the 50-50 and the 60 pulls and you move on.
This is one of the least flexible like polling systems in gacha gaming, right?
He said it!
And let's be honest here when we talk about flexibility. Flexibility is a benefit, right? It's something that makes the system better. And not having flexibility is something that makes the system worse.
For sure. No, I understand. I just think for me, if we're saying that Arknights has the best worst case scenario, I don't think that I could say in good faith that it's then worse than Hoyoverse, like polling systems.
But it also has the worst case scenario where you maybe don't save or you miscalculate what you're going to get on a weekly basis. You miscalculate what resources you're going to have as a banner comes around. And think about it this way, right? Let's just say that miscalculation does happen on your end. And at the end of the banner, you're actually at 105 pulls when you need 120.
So
what do you think a player is going to do in that?
For user error. Like,
what do you think a player is going to do?
So you're saying that the problem is more really down to like user error of like incorrectly planning your pulls than it is really like the game in that regard. Like,
it's a problem with user error.
If you're not gonna hit that 120 guarantee and you kind of like fuck up, like that makes it to the user making that decision and fucking up is like bad.
Well, this is the thing. It's a user error that's only introduced because of how the banner is designed. And if the banner isn't designed this way, users can't make this error. And so this banner is intentionally designed in a way that gives users the opportunity to make errors. Sure.
I don't. This is the definition of greedy and stupid, for sure. Like, if people are greedy and stupid, they could definitely fuck up their pulls, absolutely. But if they're smart about it, actually, you can guarantee a character that you want in a way easier, more free to play way than a lot of the other games. And I think that's like a fair thing to say, no?
That is a fair thing to say. But let's also say it's another circumstance, right? Where somebody didn't calculate their pulls correctly. They're at 105 when the banner's ending. What do you think people are going to do? But they're probably going to go into the shop, spend some money, and then make sure they can get the last 15 to finish out the banner.
But that's still like that's like I wouldn't say like a skill issue on the person, but it's kind of like, that's like a silly thing at that point, right? Like, I don't think that's necessarily like, yes, the banners are made in that way, but at the end of the day, you still have to do the pulling, right?
You do, but in other games, you don't have to do that to feel like anything's wasted. If you don't do that in Enfield, you literally wasted your previous 80 pulls.
But in the other games, you still have a greater worst case scenario, right? Like, sure, I understand you have like a better best case scenario, but
Well, this is the thing. This is all simply stemming from the fact that the pity doesn't carry over.
Sure.
And if it did, then all these problems aren't here anymore.
Do you think that the pity? Do you think that it should always be 120 guarantee, like every time, or are you okay with it only being like a one-time thing?
I think 120 guarantee is fine if you're doing it one time, but just make it so that all the future ones are 160 then guarantee.
Okay.
Right?
So like it'll become the same as like the others, like Wuo, like it would have the same system.
And then this is the other thing, and I don't know if anyone has enough polls to confirm it, but I was actually talking with Brax about this the other day. Let me go bring up our conversation. Let's say you hypothetically win a 50-50 at 110 polls. Does that make your 120 poll guarantee disappear? Or does that also mean that you can just pull 10 more and then get a free dupe?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows the answer to that question yet, because that's a potential way that the system can quote unquote win. Is if you like that's probably the best way to win at the system if it's like a hard 120 pity that doesn't reset when you pull the 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do pull the 5-star, right, it disappears.
I have no idea. It will disappear. Okay, apparently it does disappear.
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty shit. That was gonna be like my one like silver lining about the system, but if it just disappears, if you ever win, that's pretty cringe. Not gonna lie. If it just disappears, that's pretty cringe.
I guess it's failsafe, right? It's like it's saying, oh, you've got your character early, you don't need the guarantee, right? You've already got it early. You don't need to go all the way to the hard 120. I don't see how it's cringe necessarily. Cause like it's basically, I think it's only cringe because it's broadcasting it to you, right? Like you're literally seeing it on the screen, like, oh, 120 pulls, you'll guarantee this character, and we don't see that in the other games, right? They don't broadcast like how many pulls you have left, except for like maybe.
Well, this
like,
is the thing.
right?
I think it's cringe because on the flip side, you can lose multiple 50-50s in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this game, on the way to 120, you can lose every single 50-50.
Can you?
Yes.
On the way
you can
to
lose
120?
every single on the way to 120, you can lose every 50-50 if you do roll a 6-star. And that's where it's like a little bit cringe, right? Because if you're making the 120 pity poof when you win it, why are you able to lose it multiple times?
Mm-hmm. I don't think people would think it matters that much because the point is it's the 120 to guarantee that in the first place. So like you can lose multiple times on the run up to that 120 pity. Like I understand it's not the best, it's fucking shitty, but I still think people are like knowing, oh, as long as I get it within those 120 pulls, it doesn't really matter.
And this is the thing about the other systems, right? Is on the off chance that you do win or that you do lose a 50-50 early, you know the next one that you're going to pull is going to be guaranteed. Versus in this game, that cannot literally happen until the 120th pull. And that's the thing. It's just like, okay, you lose early, and now here's like this guarantee that your next one is going to be a win. And in this game, it's like it's not there. And that's a downside. That's a downside. I don't think you can objectively say anything about that is good. I think you can only say bad things about that.
Sure.
So
the banner system
I guess
is worse than Tower of Fantasy. 80 pity, but 120 is guaranteed always, and the pity is carried over to the next banner. Yeah, I think the way to fix this and make this best for everybody is just have that pity carry over. That's it. That just fixes it immediately. And
yeah, fix the pity. And genuine, like, it's just, I don't see why. I just don't see why the pity doesn't carry over. Unless they're literally looking for that situation where somebody just doesn't have enough and they've already invested 80 pulls. Because the 80 pity does carry over, right? That's the only part of the banners, of any of the banners, that actually carries over, the 80 pity to guarantee the first 6-star. And that part carries over. But the actual pity to guarantee the character doesn't carry over. And to me, that's just genuinely just straight up predatory. Where they're banking on people fucking up.
You can say you have a 70 pity, for example. You have nothing. 70 pity. It carries over to the next banner. And it's like, well, you could get that extra 10 pulls and still miss your 6-star that you want. You still miss the 50-50.
Oh, but this is the thing. Apparently from what I've seen, or from what I've heard, if that 80 pity, you don't meet it and then it carries over, you're going to start back at 0 on the new banner for the 120. And so while you might get a 6-star early by meeting that 80 pity that you've built up, you'll still have to go all the way back up to 120 to guarantee the character. So really, even in that situation, the pity carrying over in this game is actually a fucking bait.
So you're saying, okay, let's go back to the 70. You've done 70 pity. You now need another 10 pulls. Let's just assume you need to go to hard pity, right, for the 50-50. So now you've done 10 pulls. So you've lost your 50-50, let's say, but you need 110 pulls now to get the guarantee that you're implying. Got you.
Yeah. So that 120 will start from 0. It resets every banner, and regardless of the fact that you have that 70 pity built up on the characters, you're gonna have to pull a 120 on the new banner to guarantee the character. And that's why I'm saying the system is so ass comparatively to other games, where that pity is built over and it keeps happening, right? And you're able to build it up between banners, and like at some point you're not gonna get fucked. But the fact that you can, so the pity building, it just feels like a fucking bait in this game. And sure, you can say it's like a tax for idiots, or it's like, oh, just pull better, be smarter. But it's like the devs are literally just putting in a trap to fuck you. Like, and that's just inherently bad to have a system that like, ooh, just work around it. It's like, why? Okay, like sure, you can work around it, but why is a system that you have to work around there in the first place?
So, yeah, people are saying you can buy the units with build-up currency in the shop. I'm just not sure it updates. That's the thing. Yeah, you can buy shit that you need, which I think does, add credence to it a little bit, right? Like, like we can buy certain characters and dupes in this shop. If we could do that in this too, then that's also, like, a good thing, considering the amount of pulls people are going to be doing in this game, right? Like, this is the game where, like, you should not pull unless you know you can hit that 120. That's it. I think that's the takeaway. Like that's it for this game. You just do not pull unless you can hit the guarantee. That's it. That's really it.
I agree with that, and I also think it's something that should be heavily critiqued about the game.
Sure.
Too, the fact that its system is there to the system is basically designed to fuck you if you don't know better. And like, let's be honest here. We're spending this much time you're spending this much time fucking strategizing over like the pulling strategy in a gacha game. We're not even talking about the fucking actual game at this point, right? We're talking about like the fucking gacha. Like if you need to discuss this, like if we need to like get into this much of a discussion about like the strategy of just pulling in the game, that's pretty fucked up, in my opinion.
But I gotta say, for me, at least it's like, honestly, the only thing that I was saying for me, I still don't think it's as bad as like Genshin. Like if we're talking about the amount of like pulls it takes to get like a fucking character and a weapon, I still don't think it's like as bad as that game. If you're free to play, and you adhere to the rules, right, of spending the right amount to guarantee your characters, I think it's to me, I think that's where my perspective is coming from, to be honest.
I think that they have plenty of options to simply make it more player friendly. There's a reason why I said it's player run friendly, because you have the potential to lose so much if you're not knowledgeable about how it works. And that by itself, making it like an information or comprehension diff, and then otherwise you literally lose 80 pulls or 70 pulls worth of progress to the next character, that's crazy to me. That you can actually lose like 70, 80 pulls worth of progress. And it's just like, that's where the whole player unfriendly part comes from.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm cool. Guys, I can't wait for Cap to play in Bricker account and complain about the gacha when the game is 3 months out. Okay, thanks, No Hyatt. You have no opinion in this situation. I'm not listening to you. Fuck PGR. PGR better. Fuck PGR. We're not gonna get into a PGR pulling debate. We are not gonna get into PGR pulling debate. Like, that's just not a thing I'm willing to do here. That's not.
I would say that this game's character banner reminds me of Genshin's weapon banner.
The character banner reminds you of Genshin's weapon one? That's crazy.
The character banner in this game reminds me of Genshin's weapon banner. In that, like, you can build up the pity on the weapon banners in Genshin, right? But then next patch, or next cycle of banners, it gets reset. And so if you don't push all the way to the guarantee, you just wasted all those pulls.
Do you know what? I can't wait for Tectone to play Arknights Endfield. He gets one character. He gets his 6-star that he wants, and then he has to spend fucking 20 50/50s to get his second dupe.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I think having a system that's this like anti-whale, or like just like, it feels like you're getting fucking milked. That's how I would describe it. Whales playing this game after seeing everything that has been done in Hoyo games, blah blah blah. They'll know they're getting booked. They're getting milked. And the chances are, it's like they'll just know that it's like a worse system for them, and that just might incentivize them not to spend in the first place. Like, I'm literally getting my money wasted here.
I think the point being, though, that thank you for the bits, man. I appreciate it. I think the point being, though, that like the game can be a lot more free to play friendly. I don't want to do a Mr. Pokey take, but the game could be free to play friendly if you're smart with your pulls, right? Like, if you know that it only takes you 120 to guarantee your character, and you don't need dupes, and you might not need your weapons.
I saw some of the gameplay,
Yeah.
and it looked like people were literally just spamming the same basic attack chain on a character and
Yeah.
doing that for like 10 seconds. And I'm like,
it's really bad
that's
in that regard.
fucking boring.
It's like,
that is
so-
fucking boring.
So maybe I could describe. So you have like, it's SP, and you have 3 SP points, right? But you only start off any engagement or any fight with 2, right? So you have to like either do basic attacks or combos outside of using skills to earn the 3rd SP point, or you're gonna have to use like your skills. So you're gonna have to consume SP, right? And in a lot of cases, a lot of these characters, you have to use your skills to trigger like a combo, right? Because you can trigger combos by various things. Maybe a character does a finish of a basic attack that can trigger a combo of something else. But sometimes you have to trigger a combo by, oh, you do a finishing attack on an enemy that's electrified, which means you need to skill on them in the first place, right? Doing combos and stuff raises your SP generation. So like, it makes no sense. So you have to spend SP to trigger combos to increase your SP generation. That doesn't matter when you have to use skill in the first place. So you're always at like 1 SP and you have to wait and basic attack and like basically twiddle with your thumbs up your ass before you even fucking do anything. It's actually insane. And it's really bad for team building too, because it means the teams are gonna have to be like highly like synergistic for them to like work and be SP friendly. It's kind of like Honkai Star Rail, right? Legit, like there's only like the meta in this game is going to be very meta, and there's going to be little wiggle room for having like the best teams because of the way the combos and SP works. And I genuinely think it's something no one said yet, and it's genuinely my biggest concern of this game. That on its own is going to be really bad. like team building is going to be a pain in the ass for this. I do want to know one more thing that's outrageous, right? So inherently, I feel like hiding dodges and stamina bars behind doing things in the world is a bad thing when the game's about combat inherently, and that's just bad. They start off the game with only being able to dodge and sprint twice is just shit, full stop. But if you do a basic attack sequence on an enemy, if you then dodge and then you dodge counter, you will then not resume the attack sequence you were doing. You have to restart the whole basic attack chain. So it can take you forever to even get your finisher in the first place. Because if you dodge, you have to do the whole thing again. And that's fucking awful. That's genuinely so bad. Like, enemies die before you even get a chance to do your finishes or combos because of that. It's so bad. I don't know why no one's talked about this. Like, it's genuinely shit. It's made me so mad. The combat I don't like at all.
So the game has dodge counters.
Yes, it has a dodge counter, but the dodges are so tight. They're so tight and they're so bad. Like, you have to, going for an attack, you have to wait. It's bad.
I mean, the easiest thing to do for that is just be like woo-wah, where when you dodge counter and then you attack after a dodge counter, it'll advance your basic attack chain to like near one of like the ending parts. Right,
but exactly. And this game doesn't do that. It has dodge counter, but it resets your basic attack chain from like 0. It's so dumb. It's actually so dumb. So like, oh, you've used your skill on Perlica, right? To electrify an enemy, right? The character, like the bunny girl that I have, Avenwena, her finisher enables some combos, right? So I can skill on Perlica. No, I'm basic attacking, but oh fuck, I have to dodge. I've now dodged. I have to then go back and redo my whole basic attack chain. By that point, the enemy's not electrified anymore. It's so dumb. It's actually so dumb, and it's so fucking annoying. It's like, like I've seen so many people like glaze the combat. Like, it's fun because it can be quite quick, but there are like fundamentals that make it like, what the fuck are we doing at this point? We have all these cool characters with combos and attacks that we can't do like shit with. It's like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So I got a lot of things to say about this combat.
Just pull Zhongli so you don't have to dodge then.
Say, when is the oil upstream? Will you ever have a sub goal for that?
No comment.
No comment. So that's not a no. Wait, so it's not a no.
That is a no. No comment.
So it's a no comment. You refuse to say.
All right, Cap. It's time for you to play the game. Bye.
Bye. The fact that you only have to pull on the character banner and to... Scratch that.